big exciting week in the NFL. We have the Dolphins taking on Buffalo. Huge because we finally get to see if Tua can play in the cold and in snow. We've been saying no, but we will break down our full thoughts on that game. Maybe we've changed our minds since we've seen things recently. We've also got a ton of games with huge playoff implications. The Lions, the Jaguars, and the Panthers, all in a chance to fight back into the playoffs, and we got picks on all their games. It's going to be real exciting. Before we get to all that, we are going to be covering some fantasy questions. We helped Nate Schmidt throughout the year, and now he is sitting in the playoffs for his fantasy league. So please reach out with your questions. His questions this week start at quarterback. Tom Brady and Jared Goff are his options. Connor, which one are you going with?
Jared Goff. Jared Goff had 30 points last week, and if you just look at the Lions' schedule, I'll tell you how many points they put up over the last.
It's the playoffs. It's 1 week. That's all that matters.
I understand that, but just look at the trend. 34 last week, 40 the week before, 25 the week before, 31 the week before. Last four for let's talk about Tampa. Tampa 7, 17, 17, 21. And by the way, 2 weeks ago, they won 17-16 over the crappy New Orleans Saints. If Mark Ingram doesn't step out of bounds 1 yard short of the first down with like 8 minutes left, they lose that game 17-3. So again, or 16-3. So I'm not buying into Tom at all. Tom has had an atrocious season, and also their offensive line is terrible. If you watched the game last week, they had a 65-yard bomb called back because of holding. Donovan Smith leads the NFL in holds. It's atrocious. I mean, I feel bad for him a little bit. He's had a lot of drops problems, but his offensive line is terrible. I'm serious. The Lions are humming this week, and if you look at it, his number one wide receiver is still Amon-Ra St. Brown, who plays in the slot the heavy majority of the time. Most of the time, he's going to stay away from Sauce. Sauce is going to have DJ Chark, who showed up last week, and Jameson Williams. So, again, all teams now have to respect two other guys that are not named St. Brown, which, by the way, if you're looking at it in Dynasty, go out and buy St. Brown. Go buy St. Brown now. Play it off like Chark is coming back. Play it off like Jameson Williams is going to take targets away. Go buy St. Brown in PPR formats especially. Why? Because tight end, running backs, slots, all cannibalize targets. Outside and inside have much less overlap. Everyone is worried about Jameson Williams coming back. Skip that. Go get St. Brown. Buy Goff. They're actually looking at extending Goff, by the way. Did you see that?
I can't wait to talk about draft stuff because we'll get more information each week and we will be able to give – because we talked about it a little, tease some of our guys. Be like, but ooh, it's going to be interesting with Geno Smith, Jared Goff.
Perfect situation. I'm telling you. Lions take Anthony Richardson from Florida.
The developmental quarterback?
The developmental like Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Not mental Cam Newton, developmental Cam Newton. Because he needs 2 years to develop, but he is like 6'5", 225 pounds, and he runs like a 4.5, 4.4 40. Monster. And he's got a cannon. But he can't hit the broadside of a barn right now, and he doesn't have it upstairs yet. So, I mean, Goff will be a good bridge quarterback for them. So, that's way ahead. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. But Lions are a hot topic for us. We know this.
We love the Lions. All right. With that out the way, I give a stamp of approval to your Jared Goff pick. Let's go to wide receiver now. This is like the, you're playing the waiver wire and praying for the best. Zay Jones, DJ Moore, Elijah Moore, Allen Lazard, Deontay Johnson. You can only have one. And thankfully, you can only have one.
Nate, how did you get here? That's the question.
Cortland Sutton's hurt, and DJ Moore's was like his.
This is crazy to me. This is crazy to me that we literally said this 2 weeks ago. If you had to pick, who was it going forward? He had some.
It was Zay Jones, Treylon Burks, who is now hurt, and other guys. I can't remember who. Cortland Sutton, who got hurt.
Yeah. All right, so I still stand by what we said a couple weeks ago. So I'll say that Treylon Burks, Cortland Sutton over Zay Jones. However, I'm going to reverse course here, and I may take Zay Jones. Seriously. Because this is going to be – who they got, Dallas? Dallas. All right, so they got Dallas. Dallas just got roasted by Chris Moore. That's more of a Christian Kirk tweet, but I get that because he plays more in the slot. I'm buying offenses, and I'm not buying any of the offenses except for Jacksonville in any of those. Deontay Johnson, who's he got this week? Either Mason Rudolph or Mitch Trubisky. No. He hasn't put up more than, I think, 12 points in any game this year. And that was last week. That was his
I would say, yeah, if you want to insult offenses, Elijah Moore gets his rival back, Zach Wilson, who refuses to throw him the ball.
Moore gets Zach Wilson. So forget that. Against Detroit, who's surprisingly playing pretty good defense and rushing the passer pretty well. So Zach Moore is going to be a 10 for 20, 10 for 24, 2 picks, but 4 really cool spin outs in a clean pocket. That's what he's going to do. And then 2 more fumbles. Man.
So you're looking at DJ Moore, Zay Jones, Allen Lazard. I think
DJ Moore's questionable. If you're going to pick one, I'm going to go Zay Jones and Allen Lazard too. But Christian Watson's sort of taking over there too. Romeo Doubs is potentially able to play.
I'm going Zay Jones.
Zay Jones is the safest. This is crazy to me.
Well, Dallas can rush the passer ridiculously well. Everyone knows they got like a person. Zay Jones is the hot receiver. I know Christian Kirk is the slot, but he's like a deep threat slot. It's a weird thing because they love that's where he gets chunk plays.
They use him like Cooper Kupp, just light.
Yeah. But then like Zay Jones is like he's an outside receiver, but he also gets 10 targets for 80 yards. You know, he's not a big play kind of guy. So I'm going lots of quick hits. I'm going with Zay Jones here. Now let's get to it. Picks of the week. Ken already said he sent me a text. San Fran was his pick of the week. He swears by it, even though we're recording the day after it. Yeah, I'd love to pick the team that already won too. All right, Connor, who are you picking?
To be fair, he did text us last night.
After they were up 7-0.
I thought that too. It was interesting timing. Interesting timing for being. I think it was after the first drive where they opened up with George Kittle. But fine, Ken, we'll let you have it.
Listen, you're so far behind. It's fine.
Yeah. Listen, I've never done this before. I'm actually going to pick a total here for my smash play of the week. This is Indy and Minnesota under 48.5. And here's why. Listen, good Lord. Minnesota has the worst point differential of any 10-win team probably in history. They're -1, and they're what, 10-4, 10-3?
10-3.
And they're -1, okay? So there's a little bit of a mirage in a lot of their points. I don't believe that they're actually they're a weird offense. They're incredibly streaky. Kirk Cousins is still Kirk Cousins here. Fine, they can put up points, but no. Do I believe that Indianapolis, a Matt Ryan led, Jeff Saturday led team, can, let's just say, split this in half, can put up 24 points on an offense with an offense that's surrounded by with Jonathan Taylor? Minnesota, if they're even remotely smart, now that's questionable because they're clearly a terrible point differential. If they load the box at all, do they really think that Matt Ryan is going to put up 24 plus points? I don't see it. If you guys are wondering, the last five for the Colts since Jeff Saturday, 19, 17, 16, 25. That was the big one. That was his first one. Before that, 3, 16, 10. I mean, we're talking out of the last 6-7 games, they are 1-6 for putting up 24 points. The only way this goes south, which, by the way, is still possible, is if Minnesota puts up a 30-burger, which is possible, but I actually think the Indianapolis defense is better than people give them credit for. The problem is when Matt Ryan goes 3 and out or quick turnover or whatever, insert terrible Matt Ryan here, their defense is going to be on the field all the time. I think this is a kind of a slower game. I know we hate it, but Ken O'Connell and Jeff Saturday want to run the football. I just don't see this being, what is this, one of the highest totals of the week? We're talking, this is tied for the highest total of the week here. No, second highest. Kansas City's another one.
How mad are you going to be if I got this number wrong?
I just don't see it.
It's 47.5. Okay. So 48.5, 47.5.
It's 48.
It's right.
When you pulled it. So
yeah.
Technically we have 48.5.
Yeah, no, we filled this out beforehand and then
viewers, by
gets
the
in the way.
We pulled at one point in time, lines move, we get it. So 48.5 is the total here. Yeah. But still.
I was just surprised like you. I just had to check to make sure, I'm flawed. Sometimes I put 48.5 and it's 38.5.
Yes, listen, I'm shocked at this number. I still might even take it at 47.5. 48.5 for sure. That's my smash.
All right. Also, I want to emphasize, last week they were trailing, they were getting killed, and Minnesota still ran the ball 22 times for 42 yards. It is ingrained in the Vikings mantra. We will run the ball no matter how poorly it goes. Connor, you probably got to refresh. All right, we're going to go with my smash play of the week. All right, so I am going to go, I hyped it up a little, Buffalo -7. So hear me out. It's risky because this is the snowy game. It might be hard to move the ball. It might be hard to put up points. But I am leaning into the Dolphins are definitely a flawed football team, and we have seen it. And by flawed, I mean teams are starting to understand Mike McDaniel's strategy, and they are starting to make them pay for it. The Chargers don't have a good defense, and they shut down the Dolphins last week. If it's not for a 60-yard fumble recovery by Tyreek Hill, that game is not even close. It's 23-16 with that. It's complete garbage. And actually, I think the Chargers had the ball, and then it just poofed out of the pile somehow. But anyways, the Bills have looked flawed recently, but I think Josh Allen is like Frosty. He's better with the snow. It's going to be cold. He's big. He's physical. He's got a strong arm. And I think he's going to come out. I think he's going to sling it. They haven't had as many big plays. When we saw this matchup previously, I feel like Buffalo had control of that game, and they blew it. There's no other way around it. That was the butt punt that they still blew. But I am in Buffalo -7. I am sticking to my guns. I said all year, I don't care if Miami is 13 or 14 wins going into the playoffs. Once it gets cold, once it gets windy, and they have to go on the road for a game, it's not going to end well. It's happening in the regular season. Good night, Miami. Have fun in your wild card game. You might win your first one. You're not going to win another one as long as it's not in Miami. All right, Connor, pick number 2.
All right, by the way, just so you're aware, I hot take on Mike McDaniel's here. I told you I was going to have one. There is a chance. There's 2 things here. There's a chance that he's Brandon Staley. If you remember, Brandon Staley took off at the beginning of last year and was crushing it. Okay? Justin Herbert was flying off the handle. You've got, Chargers were beating teams, going for it on 4th down, which, by the way, Mike McDaniel, similar tree. Analytics kind of, pushes him. He doesn't do as crazy things as Brandon Staley. But McDaniel has a little bit more of what I would consider millennial in him, which is potentially a problem here. Okay. It's great because it works out. Everyone's like, oh man, we love McDaniel. We love his demeanor. He's just a dude. He wants us to call him Mike. Listen, there are certain times though where you need a Dan Campbell. Okay. I know we love him, but there are certain times where you need somebody to get up in your face, get up in your grill and say, hey, we're not going to give up 30 points to the Chargers on a broken plays, or I'm not convinced that their defense is as hard-nosed because, man, Mike McDaniel is so cool and, man, he just doesn't yell at us. And, it's like the friends in high school that had their parents want to be their friends more than their parents. I just feel like, yeah, it's great, it works out, but when it comes to accountability and responsibility, I don't know if this goes through. I just don't know if Mike McDaniels can come down and say, hey, we're not losing this game. He's probably gonna be like, oh, we'll just, hey, it's just like Mark D'Antoni for the Phoenix Suns. Hey, We just want them to score because we can get the ball back. I feel like that's his mentality. So, anyways, I'll let you chew on that for a minute there, Phil.
All right. Well, while I do that, who is your second pick of the week?
All right. Yeah, man. Mason Rudolph and Mitch Trubisky are starting, and they're actually favored here. No, sorry, Carolina's favored here. I'm taking Carolina. I'm taking Carolina -3. Why? Because I just said it. Mitch Trubisky and Mason Rudolph are starting here. I'm taking Carolina -3. This might have been my smash here.
+3. Oh, wait. No, it is -3. Sorry. It's
Carolina -3. I had it written in here wrong. I'm still taking it. Listen, that defense is for real. I think they turned Geno over 3 times last week, 2 picks and a fumble. I think like 4 sacks. Defense is for real. And Mason Rudolph, I think actually Tomlin is not picking a starter yet. He is 100%. He came out today and said, I won't be picking a starter until Kenny Pickett is completely ruled out. He's doubtful right now. So and he said he wouldn't tell who, if it's Mason or Mitch. Mitch came in and had 3 picks last week? Good. I'm shocked here that it's, well, the only reason it's not more than 3 is because they got Sam Darnold on the other side and DJ Moore is questionable. Fine. But they also gave up. They can't stop the run. Pittsburgh's defense cannot stop the run. And the only thing that Carolina does well is run the football.
And they lean on it. They don't stop running the football.
They don't stop running the football. They're like not as bad as Atlanta, but but they're up there. And
last 3 games for Steelers, defensive rush yards allowed: 110, 146, 215.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and take -3 Carolina here.
All right. So I'm gonna rip out 2 picks real quick because the descriptions are the exact same. Both of these teams have had their offenses look absolutely awesome the last few weeks. They are absolutely loved by us. Their quarterbacks were number 1 overall picks and have actually been playing well within their system, and the systems have adopted to them. That is Trevor Lawrence, who I hyped up as my number 6 or maybe 5 or 6 franchise QB a few weeks ago. I'm standing by that. And Jared Goff, I know. You said it a little bit, like he's a good bridge quarterback, but he's actually I don't think anyone ever questioned the fact that he could throw a good football when he played for Sean McVay and the Rams. He ran an offense and looked like that outscored the Chiefs in the greatest Monday Night Football game we've ever seen. So he can throw a pretty ball. It's just when you get him off spot, it's tough. Well, they have a great offensive line. They do have good weapons. They'll be canceled out here a little bit, but like you said, I'm on Ross St. Brown's in the slot. No one's taking him away. And the Jets have Zach Wilson starting. So first off, I'll finish up on Jacksonville +4.5. I am going to die on an island here. Me and Stephen A. Smith. I don't believe in the Cowboys. I don't know what it is. They can do whatever they want. Micah Parsons is phenomenal. But that offense just seems so flawed. The fact that it's gotten renovated, or I can't think of the right word, but revolutionized, because Tony Pollard, their backup running back, is finally getting the carries and gave them a great running game. They don't have great receiving options. They got T.Y. Hilton. He hasn't played football all year. James Washington
and Michael Gallup.
Yeah, he has not looked good. That was a sleeper fantasy pick of mine, and I was wrong. So Jacksonville, they can pass block, probably going to get wrecked, but I believe in Trevor Lawrence. The Greg Cosell said what happened is Trevor Lawrence has huge legs, so they had to change a 3-step drop for him because it took longer and got him out of position. So now he had to shorten his steps and just his footwork in order to accommodate, and that's what they did the last 5 weeks, and it's actually revolutionized the offense because now he's in the right spot and he's releasing quicker. It's just take 3 steps, and you're like, oh, you're 6'5", and you have huge legs. You're 10 feet further than we thought you were going to be.
They are saying the timing is better for a 5-step drop if you take 3 steps.
No, they're saying what his 3-step drop is just the way he did it. It got him out of position.
Too deep?
It was too deep, and his legs didn't get set in time because they traveled further distance. And they changed.
Garbage.
Well, it's still a 3-step. They just changed the 3-step drop to a he takes like 3/4 of a step instead of a full one. Like Russell Wilson would need 5 steps to get to 3 steps. He needs less than that.
Russell Clown.
Anyways, it's been working, so I don't question it. Someone gave me a reason. I thought it was interesting. And then also, like I just said, Detroit, they're going against the Jets. The Jets have Zach Wilson starting at quarterback. It's an easy layup. Take the money that Vegas gives you.
Yeah, they pretty much have this as a pick 'em. Detroit minus 1.5. I mean,
it's hilarious.
Zach Wilson's hot garbage. Cannot believe it. I saw. By the way, if you're into pop culture, they have this weird show called MILF Island that they just came out with on like MTV.
Zach Wilson's the star.
So I saw somebody say, ironic or coincidence, ? That MILF Island starts this week and Zach Wilson gets another start. Coincidence? I think not. So, again, pop culture, if you're interested, Zach Wilson's got issues with some...
He does not have issues. He's just, he's a hunter in the African safari chasing down them cougars.
He's a cougar hunter. So,
yeah, all right. Anything else you want to add on to that Detroit pick?
Man, I just think Jared Goff, by the way, is going to get extended, and they're talking to him about it. I think they get somebody within this year and next year. I still think he gets 2 or 3 more years. The guy can sling it. He's only 27, 28 years old. He's always just I've always just said he's not going to be a guy that can go out of a bad, like in a bad system and just be really great. Justin Fields right now, bad system. And he's doing really well because he's a super athlete. Jared Goff goes to Chicago, he flops. Jared Goff goes to the Jets, he's going to flop. You know, he's got to be in the right system, but if he's in the right system, dude can sling it. And he's showing that this year. He's going to have random games, though, where he's going to have 220 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's not going to be flashy. That's also because of Dan Campbell and wants to smash the ball with Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift, and ironically, like Justin Jackson. But I do like their offense. Seriously, if they had not started off 1-6, we would be talking about them winning that division and still potentially. I mean, they gotta have a crazy run and have Vikings lose all of their games the rest of the year to win that division. But they're in the wild card hunt.
Well, I was gonna say the Seahawks just lost. And they need to jump the Giants or the Commanders, which, by the way,
they play each other. So,
well, yeah, and the Giants suck at football. Like, I feel bad for Brian Dable.
We talked about this earlier. Coaching can only take you so far. You can get coaching wins. Coaches can win a game for you. As it goes on and into the playoffs, it does not happen as often. As time goes on, that's just how it goes. But anyways, all right, so my next pick here, I don't know how this is -4 here, but New Orleans defense has actually looked really good lately. I've got New Orleans -4 on a Desmond Ridder first ever start in New Orleans against those boys down in the front 7 for New Orleans. I think they have a heyday. I think once again we're going to end up talking about Arthur Smith, who said, "Hey, remember we run the ball 60% of the time, and no matter who it is, the only way I'm telling you, I think the only way that this fails is if Desmond Ridder pulls a Justin Fields and just like read option run. The guy is a good athlete, not a great athlete. He's pretty smart." Pretty athletic. That offense is abysmal. Cordero Patterson, 32-year-old Cordero Patterson is your guy. I just don't see them putting up that many points on New Orleans. New Orleans was up 16-3. 16-3 2 weeks ago. So, and they had a bye week this past week. They're coming off a bye. I think that both these teams are actually coming off a bye. Unless Arthur Smith says, my offense philosophy really sucks. Let me implement a new offense in my bye week. I don't see how this is going to be good for Ridder. I mean, he might have a decent game, but again, They should not. They should not lose this. They should not lose this, especially not -4. Another only thing that could happen could be Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton could happen.
Well, do you know who the number 2 NFC quarterback is according to PFF?
I don't want to hear it. If you tell me if it's Andy Dalton, I'll say don't listen to PFF ever again.
It's Andy Dalton.
Stupid. Again, stats can be blinded. Like you would probably be saying the same thing about Kirk Cousins and Kirk Cousins over the last 10 years because of his garbage time stats. Stats are misleading.
Well,
if you watch the games, do you know
how PFF grades? They literally watch every play and then assign players a grade. However, it can be a flawed system. I agree with you there. All right.
Come on. Don't sit here and talk to me about – dude, if that's the case, Dennis Allen needs fired. If Dennis Allen needs fired or whoever their offensive coordinator is needs fired, I'm telling you, that offense is atrocious. I do not believe in that offense at all. They've got a good amount of weapons, and they just –
I love that you're trashing them after you pick them.
Doesn't matter. I'm trashing Arthur Smith even more.
Desmond Ridder, 3rd round, pick 74. Just a reminder, we all saw what Malik Willis looked like in his first action. That was just so bad. All right, my next pick, Monday Night Football, the Green Bay Packers versus the Rams. Everyone is high on Baker Mayfield coming off that beautiful. Was it Monday night performance last week or Sunday? I can't remember. A Thursday night performance. And let me tell you what, I've seen enough of Baker Mayfield to know that man is awesome when adversity and everything's against him and he's throwing his middle fingers to the world. When it's, a normal situation and teams have time to prep for Baker Mayfield as the quarterback instead of Bryce Perkins, I think the Packers are going to be more prepared. I don't think Baker Mayfield's going to have a great game. And I think the Packers are going to win and cover this one. The Packers are like 1-6 in their last few games, but I actually think they've been playing better than their record shows. Man, that's embarrassing. Anyways, Christian Watson. Well, they run the ball a little bit better. Christian Watson actually gives them some burst on the outside. Romeo Doubs, like you said, might be coming back. And the Rams are bad. I don't know why the Raiders didn't just throw 2 or 3 more times to Devontae Adams and score 2 more touchdowns against them, but they blew their playoff chances because, idiocy.
Mike McDaniel is another guy that needs fired. So Lovie Smith is on the hot seat. Hackett is actually on the hot seat, supposedly, from reports. And McDaniels needs fired. All 3 of them need to go. I mean, and it's not even a question because McDaniels has ruined multiple games for them.
Absolutely. So, they should be right on the borderline with the Chargers fighting for a playoff spot, but they're not.
So Josh Jacobs goes off for 200 billion yards, and he's like, oh, wait. I forget that I have Devontae Adams. They threw the ball like 20 times. That's it. It was incredible.
They've had games where they haven't thrown the ball to Devontae Adams. It's ridiculous.
Miserable. I don't
He's too cute for his own good. You got to have Bill Belichick over him reining him in.
The only reason that I'm not taking, we're switching over to another pick, but I'm not picking this. Just discussion on the Raiders. They get Waller and they get Renfro back this week, and I know that that's, it's not great, but it's like comfort food. You got to respect them a little bit more. They're playing.
Wait, it's not great to get a top 3 to 5 tight end and a guy who we acclaim as one of the best slot receivers.
Okay, but Darren Waller has been not garbage this whole year.
I'm not okay. See, the thing is, I think it's just the play calling. I don't think.
Why can he not call plays? Why can he not call plays as the head coach?
I have no idea, and it's literally bad. I think it's got to be like Bill Belichick sat down and said, "Hey, this is what they do bad. Go use this guy over and over again." And he's like, "Okay, that's a great plan." And when he has to make that decision,
he's had a chance of being a head coach and has royally blown it. I'm talking like terrible. I don't understand it.
But every time he goes back to being an offensive coordinator is a genius, which again, I think Bill Belichick has a lot more. Maybe like
Tom has a lot to do with it too.
Oh, Tom, yeah.
Mostly talent.
Mac Jones didn't look bad under under Josh McDaniels either, though.
Didn't look terrible, but they also, when they played the Bills, they were like, "Hey, Bills, this is a Blizzard game. You know what we're gonna do? Mac Jones is gonna throw the ball 3 times this whole game." Josh Allen threw the ball 20 times in that game. So, and somehow, New England still won. That was last year. If you guys are wondering, go back and look it up.
All right. Anyways, I'm not making a pick on this game either, but I'm with you. I want to so badly pick the Raiders, but I can't. For the record, I don't know what Josh McDaniels was doing his last year in Denver. He also got 1,500 yards for Brandon Lloyd. Like, you think that's fantastic because Brandon Lloyd isn't that good, but whatever, man. I don't know how he does it. He is just, I don't know what.
I don't understand it.
Leans too much on one thing. Let's go to our next pick. We each got it here. Chargers -3. You can do your take on it first.
I mean, I've been on the Chargers this whole year. I said if they get healthy, if their defense comes back, it was crazy that, I mean, mind you, it's still crazy that Staley is a defensive coach, was the defensive coordinator for the Rams, goes across the street and has one of the worst defenses in the NFL. Then all of a sudden, last week, they get a high-powered offense and shut them down. Maybe that's a McDaniels tweet. I don't know. I really don't.
I think that's a Styles makes fights thing, dude. They were the first team to be like, I don't care how fast your receivers are. We're going to press them. And if they get by us, they score a touchdown. And it worked.
Well, they did that, and they took away the middle of the field. RPOs. All right, so, man, we're getting off topic here. However, all right, Chargers -3. We're taking both of those. Herbert looked great last week. They got their offensive weapons back.
Titans look like garbage, too.
Titans look like garbage. Really bad. Really bad.
Derrick Henry rushed for like 110 yards in the first half, and they lost last week.
And they lost.
We're done.
So, moving on to what's more important here. Miami. Back to Miami here. Listen, it is – maybe this is what we've said all year, and we've said 2 is great, 2 is great, 2 is maybe okay. No, let's start from last year. 2 sucks, noodle arm. All right, he's not going to be good. Fine. 2 is great. Mike McDaniels puts him in a position to play. Awesome. 6-3, whatever. 8-3, they're great. Then this game happens this past week where we've always said, man, if
last two.
Fair, exactly. San Francisco and
Chargers.
And we've said, all right, maybe stuff is creeping back in. Tua just has to continue to do what he's done, which is run Mike McDaniel's offense. And he's been inaccurate, and his arm has been showing up even worse. Here's why. LA Chargers decided that they would take away the middle of the field on the RPOs. An RPO in general is going to be 2x2 or 3x1 or 2x1 with a tight end, and you bring a back across. He reads the defensive end or the linebacker. Linebacker comes up. He's going to go and throw it behind. Linebacker goes back. He hands it off. But what you have are slant routes behind. You have slant routes generally or deep ends, 10-yard ends. Forces you to have 7 or 8 guys in the box and make a decision on the 8th guy. What's he going to do? Is he going to come in? If he does, I throw right behind him. If he doesn't, if he goes back, I hand the ball off. Chargers got great penetration all night and said, fine, we're also going to drop that linebacker out and sit a safety right there. And instead of Mike McDaniel shifting that, because in my opinion, I think he realizes Tua doesn't have that strong of an arm, which you've said the whole year. If you do that same exact play, rather than do an RPO with in-breaking routes, do an RPO with an out route, you could do that if you got a guy like Justin Herbert. Do an out route. Take a guy on the outside, run him on a go route, take out that corner, run Tyreek Hill on a 10-yard, 5-yard even, stick route, out route, because he's going to freeze that linebacker and just send him out. But you got to have a quarterback that can read it and in 2 steps sling it to the outside numbers. And I kept wondering, why are they not doing that? Why are they not doing that? Because the way it works is you have that outside linebacker sitting right here, and if he goes back, then you give the ball off. If he comes up, then you throw it behind him. You have an out route running away from him. The only way that doesn't work is if you can't get it there because the linebacker is coming up and he's going to pick the ball off. That's the worry. I just don't understand, because it doesn't matter if the safety drops in behind, like is what they were doing. Because what they were doing is they were putting that linebacker underneath him and then having the safety. They were doubling, basically putting a bracket around Tyreek.
Mm-hmm.
Run away from it. But the only way that you do that is if you have a quarterback that can throw that deep out and quickly. I don't know if Tua can do that.
Which brings me to my other point. You said it a little. Justin Herbert. I think the most beautiful play that I see that comes up once or twice a game is the half naked bootleg one way and the 50-yard bomb to the other side of the field.
There's only a handful of guys that can do that.
Yeah, it's just so pretty.
And Allen, I would say Aaron Rodgers to an extent, probably. Anybody else? Goff probably can't do it.
No.
Somebody else who's got a cannon. But we're talking bootleg, and then it's post corner by the backside.
You're doing 50 air yards by line of scrimmage, right? So you're not accounting for angular distance. And then you're going across the field.
So you're probably 60, 65 plus.
Yeah, in the air. And he just puts it on a dime every time. It's just one of my favorite plays to see.
It's a great play call, though. You just had to be able to have will they ever run that for Tua? No chance. Not a chance.
It's a great play call. My quarterback can literally throw a 50-yard bomb from the opposite sideline. Let's do it. Of course no one's ready.
The Bills do run it, though.
They do, yeah.
The Bills have run that play before.
But Herbert makes it look better, in my opinion.
He does, because he can put it on a rope, and I think he can put it on on a tight rope.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, honestly, his arm can be too strong sometimes. He can launch 70 yards, flick of the wrist.
But the first play, first pass play last week, he had Stephon Diggs wide open in the middle of the field, and you could just see it. He's like, I'm excited, and I threw it way too fast, and it went way over.
Sailed it.
All right, I think I got one more pick. All right, I have two more.
We have one more.
No, I got one more before that. Ravens versus Browns, over 37. They said Deshaun Watson's going to throw the ball further down the field more. Farther? It's farther. It's a physical distance. All right, listen. That is one. Great. It's a touchdown. If it hits, or it's a big play. If it hits, great. If it doesn't, it's going to be a pick, because Marcus Williams is back there, and Marcus Williams is a ball hawk, and I love him. So either way, these are huge swing plays going both ways for either team. It's going to be forcing more points to be scored. 37 isn't a lot. Tyler Huntley runs this Ravens offense very efficiently. I'm excited. Browns defense sucks. Ravens defense is really good. Last week showed it. They are bend but don't break. They gave up 300 yards, 400 yards, 350-ish to the Steelers. But every time they got to a big play point, they forced a turnover. I don't think they have that much red zone luck again. I also think when they're forcing turnovers, it will benefit their offense and create scoring opportunities. I could see this one being a close game, because each team's running the ball, and then they start to get a little bit aggressive, and then it starts to snowball, because they make an aggressive play, they score, someone scores, and the other team has to respond. All right, let's go to the last Sunday night game, which, by the way, can we talk about games that get flexed in and out? We had to watch Indy versus Dallas and Green Bay versus Philly, and they decide to put this game in. There's so many. Miami versus Buffalo would be a great Sunday night game. And instead, we get the Giants versus Washington 2.0, one of the saddest games of the year, because that tie was it was painful.
By the way, this is the exact same spread 2 weeks ago when they tied. And I took the over. And it was 40 points.
Instead of 40.5.
The over. We're going to double down here, and we're going to take over 40.5, because there's no way that they end up in a tie again. None. No chance. This is like hitting double green on roulette. This should not happen. Should not happen. Okay? This I get it. I totally get it. Dan Jones has been found out. another team that should pick a quarterback again. Brian Dable has been found out. Wink Martindale has sort of been found out, but
don't say found out. It's like saying I have the worst ingredients to cook with, and at my restaurant I made really good cheeseburgers, and someone came back and was like, hey, do you make grilled chicken sandwiches? It's like, no, all I have is burger meat. It's not their fault they've been found out.
It's not. I agree. Saquon is still Saquon, which I think we did say at the beginning of the year he is a big time bounce back candidate. He has been top 5 running back. Richie James, Isaiah Hodges, David Sills.
All right, stop. Are you naming?
These are not TikTokers. These are starting players.
I thought you were going to say they are baggers at my local grocery store.
Take anybody off the street, insert a name, and be like, yeah, that's the starting wide receiver for the New York Giants. Kenny Golladay, I don't even know who that is. Like, he should be he should never play another snap in the NFL. Just shouldn't happen. That's a guy that was totally, I can't believe I'm saying this. Matt Stafford made that guy's career. He got him $82 million. Wow is right.
Well, it's like his thing was, I'm bigger and stronger than you. Just throw the ball up to me and I'll catch it sometimes. Not everyone takes those risks. Like, especially a guy like Dan Jones, who's playing for his life in the league. And he's like, I can't just throw a 50-50 ball unless I actually trust you.
It's sad because they don't have much, and I really think Daboll is a good coach. I think he's a good head coach. I think there are guys that are good coordinators, a la McDaniels, a la Mike McDaniels, even Staley to an extent. Todd Bowles is another great defensive coordinator, may not be a great head coach. It's his second stint, and he's 5-8 right now. By the way, I heard he's a brilliant man, but better defensive coordinator. Dable, I think, is a good head coach. I think the thing that makes the difference
going between coordinator and coach is like you gotta have some stones to make a bold play call. And I'm not even talking like I'm Brandon Staley. I'm going forward on 4th and 2 in my own territory. It's like no. It's got like this guy. This third receiver is better than that guy. Play him. Or just like, I know my guys, this is what we should be doing. And calling an aggressive game plan around that. Because I feel like Todd Bowles, he runs a very conventional style like system across the board in Tampa Bay. And that's just what catches him up. And that's like, you got to be like, we have Tom Brady. We have good receivers. We got to be aggressive instead of like.
Yeah, like I'm not convinced that Dan Campbell, he's like middle of the road. Like I'm not 100% sure he's a great head coach, but he's 6-1 in his last 7, and you're like, okay, maybe he is. But he was started out 1-6, and you're like, okay, I'm not sure. Jury's still out. But what did he do to win those games in the middle of the time, like the last 7 games? He made Amon-Ra St. Brown the centerpiece of his offense. He ran the ball. Jamal Williams has 14 touchdowns this year from the 1. Means they're moving the ball. He didn't say, hey, Jared Goff, we're going to run the spread, and we're going to have you pepper the entire defense all over the field. Didn't do that. He said, I want you to throw the ball at Sun God. Throw the ball at Sun God a bunch of times. I'm going to run a bunch of plays for him. Oh, and by the way, we get DJ Chark back, and we're going to run counter punches with that. Like that, those are good play calls. Those are good coaching decisions. Bad coaching decisions would be when you decide, Saquon Barkley 1 billion times up the middle. I get it. We just talked about Daboll being a good coach, but that's a little bit different because they have nothing else. Nothing else.
Well, it's like, I guess giving your team an identity and like, hey, I'm going to get you to play in this way because that's what you do best. And I don't care. Like Christian Kirk being a deep slot receiver, Zay Jones being a short outside receiver, things like that. I love me some Doug Peterson. Anyways,
get your pick in here.
Washington. -4.5. I love Washington. Taylor Heineke's another guy I like. Chase Young is, I just looked it up today. He's probably not coming back. They keep They say he doesn't have it yet or whatever. But let me tell you.
They took him off of injured reserve, and then I think they're about to miss their window, I think. Aren't they? They have 4 win or they opened his injured reserve window.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
And then I think it's 4 weeks to put you in the active roster, or you go back on injured reserve, which would end his season, I think.
So they need to use him because they will need him for the playoffs, which I think they make because they win this game. I believe in them. They have so many tools on offense. Taylor Heineke throws so many 50-50 balls that I'm betting that it lands in their favor. And even if they don't, the Giants aren't going to make them pay. So just so low on the Giants again. There's no other way to put it. They were nice. They were cute to start the year at 6-1 or 5-1, whatever they got to. And congratulations, you turned back into a pumpkin because you don't have good players because the system that you were brought into is awful. Whatever you do for the next 3 years, do not blame your head coach. Do not blame your defensive coordinator. I think they deserve to be there, and you need to do better by them. And you need to not give Kenny Golladay $80 million to sit on your bench.
Yeah, man. I thought they had a bunch of dead cap problems.
They have so many dead cap problems. James Bradbury, they let him go, and that hurt. I think Darius Slayton ate some. They had
obviously.
Yeah, their offensive line had a rotating thing. Their defense, they brought people in and then let them go and then brought new people in. It's just a mess.
Yeah, I thought that was the case.
Yeah.
Anyways, it is what it is. Go Dan Campbell. That's all we care about. Back to Dan.
The fighting Dan Campbells.
I like Taylor Heineke. You like him because he drinks Busch Light. I bet that's why.
No, hey, his latest videos are him popping White Claw.
Oh, I could have a beer with that guy. That's his whole thing. Another guy, similar to Mike White, going to be in the league for the next 6 years in some facet. So,
hey,
good for them.
He got his master's degree in mathematics or something. I
called
respect
off
it.
From Old Dominion. Hey, can you come play this week? Yeah, I've got an exam next week. Yeah, but I can play.
Why not? Just send the playbook over. I'll do some math proofs. I'll do some studying on that. It's all good.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I got. Anything else from you?
Man, I just want to talk about Mike McDaniel. I don't know what to think of him anymore.
Well,
man.
So
he's got to have a good showing this week. The
best analogy I heard was Sean McVay. 14 weeks as the new mastermind of the league, never going to be stopped. And then, he got stopped and he made no adjustments and it took him like half.
It's shocking how little adjustments he made last week. I kept sitting here thinking, all right, cool. Run the different RPO, run the RPO on the outside, run a different, I also in my head was like, dude, you forget that you have Jalen Waddle. What are you doing? I mean, even if you run him on a decoy. I think Jalen Waddle's fantasy points over the last 4 weeks have been abysmal, less than 10. And I'm sitting here going, why is that? Now, this is another thing. This is where I say what I brought up earlier to begin the show, talking about McDaniels being, the likable parent. Like, hey, I want to be your friend more than your parent. Tyreek Hill came out this week and talked about how he left Kansas City because he didn't get the targets that he wanted. McDaniel is bending over backwards to get him those targets, but he's also butchering the rest of his team. So, again, which one are you going to do? Are you going to be friends and say, hey, Tyreek Hill, we just paid you $1 billion. You've been great. You're going to win you're in the MVP conversation. You're potentially a 2,000-yard getter. Fine. You can be 2,000 yards and lead the league and fantasy options and all that stuff, and we still go 8-9 and miss the playoffs. That's not good. So those are the things that I worry about with McDaniel. He's going to have to say, go back to what he was doing. When they played Baltimore and had 170 yards for Tyreek and 150 for Waddle. Why are we not doing that? It was bonkers to me.
I'm with you. I also think we get too excited way too early for things. We love Mike White because he's had a few good games, and also he got hit in the face 3 times and got up and is now ruled out because it had to go to the hospital, but still played through it. Anyways, he's had 3 good games, and I'm all excited for him. But it's all about when teams adjust to you, what are you going to do? Like Baker Mayfield had a great rookie season and great like half of second season or something. And it's like, oh, teams adjusted to him. And he's fallen flat. And now he had one good game with the Rams. Teams are going to adjust to him being the Rams quarterback. What are you going to do? Like, you need the counterpunch. You need to be like, all right, you caught me. I can do this now. Chip Kelly, he was cute for a year, right? And then teams said, okay, fine. You can hurry up offense all you want. Eventually, you're going to be gassed, and your defense is going to be gassed, and we'll just outwait. We'll just wait for easy touchdowns.
I don't know. Be interested to see. I want to see a counterpunch because he's got incredible talent. By the way, what if they end up getting like a legit RB next year in the draft?
You don't like the fourth string RB from San Fran for the last 4 years who came in?
The third and fourth string, both of them.
Just or paying Chase Edmonds $20 million. Like,
oh, I forgot about that. Denver's eating most of that cost, though. I think.
Now they are, yeah.
They are.
Yeah, they need a guy like Christian McCaffrey. Like, could you imagine that guy in a similar offense?
Oh, that's right. San Francisco did that. They said, we're going to pay up for everything. San Francisco, 2-4. What are they now? 10-4.
I love
sign Christian McCaffrey, 2-4, 10-4.
Let's talk about overreacting. Brock Purdy.
Listen, man, I'm so tired. I think he's like Jared Goff light. Anybody that can come in and play that system with that kind of offense and just do what you're told. Let's stop acting like this guy.
I was gonna say he's Tua. Like he, as of right now, I'm looking at him like Tua, apples to apples. Like,
but Tua's better.
Yeah, but at least they do the same thing still. But Tua's better at it. That's why he was the first round pick.
Yes, but what does he have? 186 yards 2 weeks ago, like 170 last night, 200 last night.
Yeah,
we're giving this guy like way too much credit. Again, the analogy has been the same all year for guys like Tua and guys like Purdy and guys like Goff. You have a Ferrari. Don't crash the Ferrari. That's all you have to do. This isn't Patrick Mahomes in a beater with a souped up engine. He's got to go out and he's just going to say, "Hey, look, I think my entire team around me may break, but I'm going to run. I'm going to go 100 miles an hour. I'm going to soup this car up." Okay, the car is already souped up. It is a luxury vehicle. Don't crash it.
For the record, he hasn't thrown for more than 225 yards in a game. But QB wins are a thing, and that's why they drive me crazy. Because it's like, yes, Patrick Mahomes could carry a dead carcass to a couple wins in the NFL. But when he gets those wins, it is a miracle compared to Brock Purdy getting 3 wins with with maybe the best roster in the NFL.
Maybe the best, and by far the best defense.
Yeah. Like, what's amazing is they have Nick Bosa, great up front. They have good corners. I'm not going to say the best. They have good corners. But what makes them different is their linebackers. It's unusual to see Fred Warner's a monster in the pass game, and then Dre Greenlaw is really good. Yeah.
Dre Greenlaw, Al-Shaair, and Fred Warner are by far the best 3 linebackers in the NFL.
They're all over the place.
The best core, I should say. Yeah. Warner is probably the best linebacker. The other 2 are the best complementary linebackers.
Yeah. All right. That's all I got. You good?
Great.
Have a good weekend. Win all your picks. Go. I don't even know teams I picked.
58%.
Go Bills.
What are we? 58%, 54%, 53%?
Yep. I'm 58. You're 54. 53. Yep.
Ken bringing up the rear. Come on, Ken. But he did start out with his win that we will give him this week.
Yes, he is currently 1-0. He only has Baltimore plus 2.5 in Detroit right now. Yeah, I'm sure he'll start dropping in picks after the team score touchdowns.
Sure.